Okay, I just wanted to make this quick video about a good way to determine whether or not somebody is, basically to determine whether or not somebody is making up fake threats against you. So, for example, if somebody is requesting something from you, or they try to demand something from you, or imply it in some way, if they try to demand something from you in some way, and for some reason it feels as if you're left empty, you should first ask the question, okay, what is it they're demanding? Okay, if they're when you ask the question in a conscious sense, if you actually start to realize that the question actually the request actually makes no sense. There's no way you can possibly determine what their exact needs are, and in other words, they haven't properly given you exactly what they want. They haven't determined that. Okay, so that's when you know that they're making a fake threat. When they're making demands out of you that are completely undefined and essentially has premises that don't make any sense. And so, for example, I remember when I was younger, my grandma would, and I hate to use, an innocent person as an example, but this is a good example. My grandma used to tell me, you haven't done anything for your mom, right? Or something like that, right? And it just seemed like it was completely out of context. First of all, what the hell does she mean by that, right? What does she mean by I haven't done anything? I should be doing more things for my mom, right? You would have to be in me to understand what that means, because basically the reason why she would say that is because it would appear to her that that we're not doing anything, and that it's sort of like a fake threat that she's thought of, that perhaps we're not doing our part or something like that. But it kind of goes beyond that. So let me explain this a little bit better. So basically, the way it usually started was usually started with, she would look at us and say, so what did you guys get for your mom, or what did you guys do for your mom? And so that question, it doesn't make any sense, because when you ask that question, you're thinking, well, what do you mean by what did we get? What did we get her? What did we do for her? Because essentially, of course we do stuff for her. We're pretty nice, and if that makes any sense, even if that's not related, we do that, even though we know that's probably what you mean, partially what you mean. And so it's these are what they call them shit testers, shit test type questions, because when you ask them, when the person asks these types of questions, they don't actually make any sense. They're not meant to actually make any sense. They're meant to see how you respond, and they're not meant to make any sense. And so basically what that means is she's shit testing us to see if whether or not we're so that she can provide evidence that the kids or whatever, that us, like me, is a threat to her and other people, and the family as well. And that essentially is, and so that's my theory, but it may not have to do with that, but that's what I think, because otherwise it's like, and so it's. But I'm trying to generalize and say that that's mostly the case for everyone, because whenever a woman tries to shit test you, it kind of goes back to that. It's the thing I've written in my notebook, or in notes, is that basically the reason why women shit test you is because they're trying to make sure that you're not a threat. And so the more they do that, the more they know for sure that you're somebody who can be a servile person, or not necessarily servile, but could also be somebody who might dominate in that situation and might actually become may look evil, but then they will just drop it after a very long period of time. They would drop that question just because, even if your answer was evil, quote unquote evil, like if you said, "Of course I didn't do that. I don't do shit for my mom," or whatever. I don't do shit for anyone else, or whatever. You can, the more you do that, the more you might actually be abusive, and it might create an attachment in which those types of questions will never, those shit tests will never even come up, because you're, in that case, you would be dominating. And so that's the point of this video. Thanks for watching.